Today, if you're looking at a 2-bedroom at Orie, which one do you choose? Because there are 3 layouts in total, right? So we have a 646 square feet, we have a 678, and a 700 square feet that it's a 2 plus study, right? So I'll walk you through the differences here. So the smallest 2-bedroom, 2-bath, enclosed kitchen, no windows. Enclosed kitchen, no windows. Bathrooms, both dumbbell concept. So it's a very typical 2-bed, 2-bath layout that you can see in the recent harmonized projects. So like Emerald Katong is similar, Nava Grove is similar as well. So dumbbell concept, why people like it is because there's no wastage of corridor space. Why people don't like it is because if let's say you're hanging out in the living room, then your guests can see into your master bedroom directly, right? So it's a bit less privacy, right? Then we move on to the 678 square feet. 678 square feet in the middle here, this is the only layout that is non-dumbbell. Right, so that gives you more privacy. The other thing to point out is that here will be kind of open concept. So in this case, you get a enclosable kitchen for the compact 2-bed, 2-bath dumbbell concept. Then the middle one is where you get a privacy in your master bedroom, right? But an open concept kitchen and slightly wider living and dining area, I would say. Then the third 2-bedroom layout is actually the 2 plus study that sits at 700 square feet. What you get is an enclosable kitchen, right? Same thing as the 646, but it's slightly bigger. And at the same time, you also get a study. If you look at the pricing between the first two and the last two, right? If you're considering a 646 square feet and a 678 square feet, and whether privacy is important to you or not, most importantly is zooming down to the pricing. So 646 square feet at 2,005 per square foot, you can potentially get a unit here at 1.615 million, right? For 678, open concept kitchen and a bit more privacy, you will need to pay additional 80k difference based on the same per square foot pricing. So that I would say in the resale market, does it matter or not to have privacy in your corridor space? I would say for this case, just go for the lowest entry price. So for the bigger 2 bedrooms, right? So if you're comparing 678 square feet, for example, if let's say the 646 square feet units are all out already, you're only left with between 678 and 700 square feet, and you're buying this for own stay, 678 square feet times 2,005 per square foot will be around 1.7 million. But to top up a little bit more, that means you top up another 55k more, you get a bigger kitchen, enclosed kitchen, and also a study. I would say the choice will be to go for the 700 instead. So if I compare the top choices for 2-bedroom, right? The first one will be 700 square feet. The one with the study, because the price gap between the 700 and the 678 is quite minimal. So go for the one with the study. Okay, between the 6746 and the 678, I would say the price gap between the 646 and the 678 can be quite significant. From the resale market perspective, you do not have to pay extra for privacy. So I would say go for the smaller one. But of course, the top choice that I would say if I look at 2 bedrooms across the board would be the 2-bed, 1-bath transactions. And the reason is because if you're buying this for investment, the 2-bed, 1-bath transactions for gem residences versus the 2-bed, 2-bath rental transactions for gem as well do not differ much. So they're all kind of ranging around 2005, 2008 across 2-bed, 1-bath and 2-bed, 2-bath, right? So from an investment point of view, you want to get the maximum yield possible, then the lowest entry price would be the best, right? So in this case, my top choice for investors looking to rent out this for the short term and then sell it off later would be the 2-bed, 1-bath layout. So the same scenario is relevant in this development called Sterling Residences. They also have 2-bed, 1-bath layout and 2-bed, 2-bath layout, but you realize that the 2-bed, 1-bath being about 100 to 150k cheaper, for the same amount of rental, the 2-bed, 1-bath, actually the units are moving very, very quickly. The 2-bed, 2-bath are kind of slower. And for investor profiles coming in, what I want is a lower quantum and maximum yield, right? So in this case, for Orie, if you're looking at just purely for investment, you can potentially look at the 2-bed, 1-bath, and it will move faster because the profile of people coming into this mostly buying for investments, I would say.